Welcome back to Gun&ShotTV. This is Chris, and today we're going to be talking about the Smith and Wesson autoloaders. Specifically, this is a 5906. This is a double stack 9mm double action, single action pistol. This was a cop gun, from what I can surmise. It would have been made in the 80s. Smith and Wesson autoloaders, I mean, now they have their M&P. It's more Glock-like, a polymer. But they had, for quite a long run there, really popular autoloaders for law enforcement. And to get to that, and where we picked this one up in the 80s, we kind of have to go back a little bit further, though. So, during World War II, obviously the U.S. was using the 1911 for our autoloading pistol design. And after the war, in the 50s, the U.S. Army was looking for some alternative pistol designs. They were talking about replacing the 1911. Obviously, it didn't happen until much later when we went to the M9 Beretta. But when they did the trials, they kind of said that they were interested in designs like the P38. Now, the P38 is single stack, but it's 9mm, it's double action, single action, and you know, it was a decent weapon. It was reliable. It seemed to work well. It fired 9mm. At the time, like I said, we stayed with the 1911. But this 1955 design competition, Smith and Wesson designed a pistol based on some of the features that the P38 had, because that's what the government was looking for. And that was the original Model 39. It was very similar to this pistol, but it was single stack. It was 9mm. Since it didn't get picked by the U.S. government, they released it as a commercial pistol, and so it was sold to the public. It was a nice gun. It worked well. They were pretty accurate. I think it was like 1965, somewhere right in the mid-60s, I believe it was. The Illinois State Police adopted the Model 39 Smith and Wesson in 9mm for the Illinois State Police, and at that point, you started to see more and more law enforcement agencies start adopting 9mm automatic loading pistols, and so you'll see things, you know, that was really the start of where some of the law enforcement agencies really started changing. And I'm sure there were a few that had, you know, 9mm autoloaders before the Illinois State Police, but they were really the big one that got a lot of traction there. And obviously there were law enforcement agencies that carried 1911s, but like I said, we're not really focusing on that aspect of it. Like I said, more than 9mm. So the 39, Smith and Wesson, like I said, they were making them for law enforcement. They were pretty popular, and they kind of just kept changing that design and upgrading that design. So this is, I think, a second or third gen, and this is really similar to a 39, other than it's double stack, and it's got an ambidextrous safety, and a few other changes. But it's really, you know, pretty much the same design that they kept going with. It's kind of interesting how it comes apart and stuff. Like, if you want to take this gun apart, you're going to push the slide back. So this cutout is where the slide release pin goes through. And you'll just push it with your finger. Start coming out a little bit, and then you can pull it out. From there, hammer snaps forward and everything. You've got your captive spring here. You can pop that up and it'll come out. Kind of a similar barrel block retention system as like a Glock or more modern pistols. It's not like a 1911 where it's actually held in place by the pin and a pivoting link. But to put it back together, you're going to shove it. You have to push down on these tabs back here that are like the sear and all that stuff. And you'll get to a certain point where it'll just slide in. Now that it's in, you have to look in this little tiny hole here. And you'll get to a point where this one tab slides out of the way. As soon as you get to that point, you want to shove this slide stop back in its spot. You won't be able to put it all the way in until you pull the barrel back. And sometimes you'll get where this won't actually seat correctly. And then it'll pop, kind of all pop in place. It's kind of hard to do. Once you do it a few times, you'll figure it out. Now, this gun has adjustable sights, and it's actually got dim night sights. This is, like I said, I think I dated it to like 1986. from the serial number, which starts with TCB for Taking Care of Business, as I like to say. But they're pretty dim. And the one thing I do have an issue with this gun, when I first got it, it had two issues. It didn't always want to extract. Now I think the extractor spring might be a little weak. I did take it out and clean it, and that extraction problem seems to have gone away largely. It still occasionally will have a round hang up on the next round in the magazine, and the slide will keep going, and it'll just kind of double feed there. And then the other issue I have with the gun, and this one I haven't figured out a fix for yet, is it seems to shoot very low, and I think this factory night sight is taller to accommodate the tritium vial. So I'm going to see about maybe just getting a stock sight that's lower. I did try turning the rear sight all the way up to adjust for that, but any further and it's going to be sticking out of these ears to protect that sight, and I don't really want to break it off. You will also see some of these that had fixed sights, but this is an earlier one. And then they also had a design change where this trigger guard, rather than being this almost peanut shape, this long oval shape, they made a circular trigger guard, and those are, I think, were 90s production. They were later production models. But it's still a neat gun. It's a solid stainless steel frame. This one had some holster wear, and I just polished it with an SOS pad to kind of even out the holster wear. And the thing with stainless steel is, the reason it's stainless is it forms a new oxide layer whenever you scrape away the outside layer. So once I got the SOS pad, or I think it was a Scotch-Brite pad, once I got that polished so it kind of looks the same, it's going to form that oxide layer anew and still have that same stainless steel protection as the factory finish. If you want to make it look perfect, the best option would be tape off the parts that are matte and then bead blast the rest. But that's one of the nice things about stainless steel, is you can kind of keep messing with it whenever you want and make it, you can change the finish and it'll still have that same protection. The only thing you got to worry about is sanding off your nomenclature and the markings on the gun. I'm going to take it down to the range. We'll shoot some ammo. I'll show you what it looks like. I'll try and see if I can illustrate how it shoots kind of low. And I don't think that's me. I've shot quite a few different guns. I think that it's something to do with the weird sights. So that's something, like I said, I'm going to try the lower factory sight and see if that makes a difference. I did try having 2 or 3 other people shoot it. They all shot super low with it. So I know it's not specifically me, but something with how the gun works and how the sights are set up. Just for fun, I'm going to throw some rounds downrange with this P38. Here we have the 5906. The one thing I don't like about this gun is this goofy safety. It's a decocker safety, which isn't the goofy part. The goofy part is the serrations are put in a place where it's kind of a pain to cock the slide, especially if you're doing like a lot of practice drills or something with it, where you're racking the slide a lot. It's going to chew your hands up, and it's not actually that comfortable. And also, if you look at this side of the gun, there's all these projections. I don't think you'd want to carry it in a slim holster where it'd be rubbing against your side. But without further ado, I'm going to shoot it. So I hope you learned a little bit more about the 5906 Smith and Wesson. Some of you may recognize it too. It's somewhat famous. It was the gun that Danny Glover's character carried in Lethal Weapon. I think the second movie on. I think the first one he was carrying a revolver. But so sometimes when I like to shoot it, I'll like to yell, "I'm getting too old for this shit," and then start shooting to see if anyone catches the reference. But for Gun&ShotTV, this is Chris. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.